7-9, not 24-7, that are not enough time. Put in overtime, me I forget mine. Never thief nobody, me mother say feel low crime. Cause life is hard, have to work hard. The money now make it to just sit down in a yard and I cry time hard. Have to grind hard, jump in our studio, I rhyme hard.
Greetings, viewers of Unfinished Business. Welcome back to a brand new episode. This is segment number 2. This will be segment number 2. And today we will feature none other than Mr. Darius Avila. But before I allow him to introduce himself, I will ask my co-host to give an introduction again.
For Mr. Darius.
No, for yourself.
Oh, well, for the viewers, my name is Rashid Arzoum. Born and raised in Punta Gorda, loving Punta Gorda, very productive Punta Gorda. And I'm honored to be here with Mr. Darius Avila and with my co-host, Mr. Tariq Aviles, in the presence of great men again. And I wanted for the viewers to know the person who we are interviewing today, Mr. Darius, is someone who is very generous, someone who has a keen business sense, someone who is very active in the community. So it's an honor to have him here. And before we get into the questions, I just wanted to tell him thanks, because the year was 2011.
Yes, sir.
And during the summer, we were training very hard for Kodikader, because TCC, legends are born there and made there, So fortunately, we were able to win the nationals and we were supposed to go to Kodikader. So Mr. Palmer was training us, Mr. Alan Zuniga was training us, and we were supposed to go to Nicaragua.
Yes, sir.
And lo and behold, despite all our training, we came up a bit short in regards to funds and how we were going to go on. So Mr. Darius, being the person he is, the generous person he is, he stepped in and said, you know what, these young men have worked hard. They dedicated themselves to their craft, to the sport, to representing Punta Gorda well. So he stepped in and he helped us. So I just wanted to say thanks for that, because that opportunity allowed us to see Managua, the capital of Nicaragua, to see different places while going to Managua, and it was a bonding moment for us, and to learn more about ourselves and learn more about the world and those players and just enhance our
Arzu, I definitely second that motion.
Yeah. So
before we go any further, let's give Mr. Darius an opportunity to give the people of Punta Gorda an introduction of himself and what he's about.
Yes, sir.
Go right ahead, Mr. Darius.
All right. Well, good morning again, gentlemen. Thanks for affording me this opportunity to discuss with you. I see this as, like I said, clearly an opportunity, for which I'm thankful. So I want to congratulate you on your initiative, because clearly this is something that goes far and wide in terms of helping others to understand the broader scope of things, not only with the individuals that you will be interviewing, but with the level of knowledge and experience that they will bring to the table. So I want to congratulate you for that. My name is Darius Avila. I am born and bred PG individual, born and grew right here, just like all I come from the same mold. I was born in the same premises that my office is at this time, on George Price Street, beside St. Peter Claver School. At the time, while there were hospitals, mainly women would give birth at home. And so my mom gave birth to me right at home, right at where my office is. So that piece of property is dear to me, and that will forever remain in the ownership of our family. I hope even after I have passed. I went to school at St. Peter Claver, right there. Of course, throughout my primary school years, my mom and my dad moved the family about. So I also went to primary school in Barranca Village, in Belmopan, in Belize City. And then for high school, well, all 4 years was right there at Claver College at the time, the predecessor to Toledo Community College. 4 years at Claver College. Thereafter, I went to SJC in Belize City. At the time, only a few persons were afforded this type of opportunity. Thankfully, my family was able to put the money together, and with the help of my uncle in Belize City, where I stayed over the 2 years, I was able to go to junior college at the time. After junior college, I became employed with the Social Security Board, starting at a junior management position. And when I left 14 years later, I was in an upper management position. I worked all over the country of Belize with Social Security. And that really created, to a large degree, the type of person, or helped me to be the type of person I am, because I was able to interact with a lot of professionals who had a lot of good experience and qualifications and knowledge, and who helped a young guy like me, grow. And part of the advice I will give towards the end is that I always like this saying: if you want to soar like an eagle, then you cannot hang with turkeys, because turkeys don't soar. So if you want to soar, don't hang with turkeys, hang out with eagles. They will take you to the next level. After Social Security, well, I started my business, and would you know it, this year will make 22 years since I am in business for myself. And that has been a roller coaster ride. It has not been easy, but it has been extremely rewarding. And at the end of the day, what you put in is what you get out. So as you may know, I have two businesses. My consulting business, Business Information Services and Systems. And through this business, I am able to provide consulting service in a wide range of business areas, starting from business setup to organizational systems design and implementation, so business closures, and every and anywhere in between, the start of business to a close of business, including my forte, accounting consulting, where I design accounting systems and also help my clients to build the type of accounting base that they need to pursue their business. You also know that my other business, along with my wife and family, is Bear Suites. And that is the only local owned luxury hotel in PG. We are very, very proud of that establishment. 1 year after we opened, we were awarded the Small Hotel of the Year for PG, for Belize country, actually, Small Hotel of the Year for Belize. And since then, it has evolved and it has grown from a 5-room, a 4-room, 1-suite facility to now having 8 rooms and 2 suites. And this year, we took it up another notch with the advent of COVID-19. The Belize Tourism Board and the government of Belize on a whole decided that the tourist sector, and not only accommodation, but all sectors in the tourism, in tourism, have to step up their game and take their business to another level. With that, we stepped up our game, and we are the first in Punta Gorda town, the first hotel. Bear Suites is the first hotel in Punta Gorda town to be certified gold standard. So there is no other hotel in PG town at this time who has that particular certification. The only other
interject. So if anybody comes to Punta Gorda in this COVID pandemic, it will be only Bear Suites there, because remember there's a law stating that only gold standard hotels are available to the public. So is it only Bear Suites?
Right. Okay. So if you are a foreign visitor, a tourist, then only Bear Suites, you could stay in PG town. Of course, if you are a Belizean, the government still allows Belizeans to stay at whatever accommodation they so choose. But clearly, anybody who having worked hard for their money will want to advisably stay at a place where they know the standards are so high that, you know, COVID-19 protocols have been taken into consideration. So again, we are very, very happy of that designation, and we continue to raise the bar in all that we do. Maybe I should stop there for now, and then allow you guys to.
Well, if you choose to, Mr. Darius, however, and that's the perfect place for you to stop, because the next issue that we would like to tackle is the Battle of the Drum. It's not an issue, it's something that Punta Gorda, Toledo, and the
Initiative.
Yes, it's an initiative, not an issue.
Yes.
The country, by extension, and the world loves this initiative. Okay. So, Mr. Darius, I just want to congratulate yourself on the growth, on all the success. It's like everything you touch turns to gold. I mean, growth is something that we always look forward to, and self-fulfillment, knowing that you turned by a suite from a 4-room and 1 suite, because it was always beautiful, it was always luxurious, but now it's 8 rooms, and it's basically a double up. So within that space and time, it shows that you are not wasting your time. So, Mr. Darius,
I actually wanted to ask a question. Because listening to your achievements, your successes, and all the goals you set for yourself, and wanting to set the bar high, it speaks to the person you are. And so my first question, sorry to jump before the Battle of the Drums, my first question was, who was the most influential person in your life while you were coming of age? You know, finding yourself. Because you strike me as someone who's very ambitious, who has drive, who wants more for himself, and who wants more for his family, and not only for his family, for his community. So that's what I wanted to know.
Well, you know, if I would seek to identify one person, I would be doing a disservice to the many persons who have really molded me and bring me to this individual that I am. Like you may have heard, it takes a village to raise a child. I am that child that the village actually, you know, raised, because at the end of the day, it was no one person who created Darius Avila. And so there have been many, many individuals across that crossed my path as I grew up. I will tell you that, like I said, I came from the same mold like all of you. Back in my high school days, I used to chop this, the street side so that we could make money to pay for books and that type of stuff. Growing up, it was not always easy. Some people might say, "Oh, Mr. Darius have it good. He born with a gold spoon in his mouth." Not so. It has always been hard work and moving ahead with a purpose. So to answer your question, Rashid, clearly my mom has always been there. She has been formidable in terms of you know, setting the structure, the family structure in particular, along with my dad, of course. But you know, because he was always working to feed the family, she was there at home providing that structure and that base. My sisters, they have always been as well very, very supportive and guiding. And over the years, I have met professionals, from accountants to doctors to lawyers, who I have been close with and who I have ensured I kind of edge up to them, because I always believe, like I said earlier, if you want to rise to a higher standards, then you cannot be hanging out with a lower standard than yourself.
Okay, so let's get right back to Battle of the Drum, where we were supposed to left off. Mr. Avila, in this pandemic era that we are all living through as we speak, we can understand we can understand the reason as to why Battle of the Drums has not been as active as they have been for this year, 2020. We usually see the classes for the Garifuna language at St. Peter. Yeah. We usually see other initiatives, the sound competition. We also have the food and fair.
Yeah, that's a big event.
And the Battle of the Drums. We will not be able to physically congregate at this point in time. However, what what steps have you guys made at the Battle of the Drums to mitigate the situation and to give the people what they need, the Battle of the Drums?
All right, so thanks again for that question. Before I answer that question, I want to take you back. So this year is very, very significant for the Battle of the Drums because this is our 15th anniversary. Imagine we are 15 years old on the 14th of November this year. And it is because the concept, the initiative was conceptualized on some solid foundation that we at the Battle of the Drums Secretariat has been able to push forward with. Likewise, like Bear Sweets, the Battle of the Drums also won an award in 2016 as the major festival of the year for the country of Belize. Again, it is always about pushing the envelope, putting the bar very high and seeking to maintain that particular bar. You will recognize that the Battle of the Drums is used in two contexts. One, the initiative, and the other, the competition and show. So the competition and show is a fundraiser so that we can generate funds to invest in the initiative. And what is the initiative? The initiative is a Garifuna Cultural Retrieval and Preservation Initiative. And that initiative is pursued under three main programs, namely the Garifuna Language Retrieval Program, the Garifuna Drumming, Singing, and Dance Program, and the Garifuna Community Support Program. So when you see our Garifuna classes on Saturday, or the classes at St. Peter Claver School, or the Garifuna Translation Contest for Primary Schools, that's all part of the Garifuna Language Program. When you see the high school's Battle of the Drums, the adult Battle of the Drums, the drumming lessons that we have after school on Saturday, all of those are part of our Garifuna Drumming, Singing, and Dance Program. When you see the Miss Urume National Contest, and you see the annual Children's Garifuna Talent Show held by the primary school and hosted by Battle of the Drums, when you see the annual Urume that is hosted and organized by the Battle of the Drums, those are part of our community support, Garifuna community support programs. So you see, this initiative is structured, and it is structured in such a way that all of these programs come together so that we can have a big effect, which is pursuing Garifuna cultural retrieval and preservation. So coming now to the event, Battle of the Drums. Again, like everything else, we are in a pandemic-stricken world. So like we have always been doing, the Battle of the Drums had to adapt to its new reality, because notwithstanding the challenges that the pandemic is bringing upon us, our economy, our culture, everything across the board, it is important for us to continue to keep this initiative and this event going, because we owe our audience, our supporters, no less. So for this year, again, within the context of being responsible, we have to adhere to COVID-19 protocols. We cannot have an event where thousands of people flock to PG and they're in one building, sharing one single space, and before you know it, we have a community spread of COVID-19. So we will ask you all to sit at your homes, get a drink, relax, and enjoy a virtual Battle of the Drums. It will start at 8 p.m. next Saturday, and it will be streamed on the Battle of the Drums Facebook page and also website, on PGTV Facebook page, on Love TV, and also Love TV Facebook page, and on Reader Belize Mix, all the platforms of Reader Belize Mix out of Los Angeles. Like I said, starting at 8 p.m. next Saturday, November 14th. Immediately after the Battle of the Drums, we have what you call the Battle of the Drums Garifuna Musical Festival, which for some people is the after party. Again, we have a host of artists and bands line up so that you can enjoy right at home. You know, you could party right at home because the music will be coming at you like no other.
Definitely, and we are more than grateful as supporters and patrons of Battle of the Drums to understand that you guys consider us, and this year we will definitely be able to enjoy and to party as well. So
I wanted to ask,
go ahead, Mr. Azul.
for those of you who don't know, while growing up, I was fortunate enough to be a part of Miss Cayetano's dance group, Lebaya Chango. You know, and
Exactly.
that was an
I recall that,
experience
Rashid.
in of itself. And we thankfully through Mr. Darius opportunity that he presents to youth, he allowed us to perform at the Battle of the Drums, and that was an experience because it was a chance to see, you know, the culture come alive. I would say early 2000s. I can't pinpoint it exactly, but I do remember the event because a lot of again we got the chance to see the culture really come alive. To see so much from all over the country and outside. From Honduras, I believe people would come in, perform and do their thing, and it was an experience. So I didn't say I thank you for that. I wanted to ask, you mentioned that you wanted to preserve Garifuna culture and you know all of that. So I wanted to know, do you feel that that is something that we're facing as the Garifuna people? That's in some instances the culture is fading, and also the second part of the question is how did the Battle of the Drums come about? I know you gave a brief summary of how it came about, but I wanted to ask that as well as about preserving the culture.
Okay. Well, you know, Rashid and Tariq, no disrespect to you guys, but maybe you may be a little bit too young to recall. Like I said, no disrespect, guys, no disrespect. I'm saying this in a good light, okay? I'm saying that for you to recall that back in the 70s, you were not born by that at that time, right? Back in the 70s, in the 60s, right? Okay. Even in the early 80s, Punta Gorda town, which by the way, is a municipality that was founded by the Garifuna people. All right, let's and remind everyone that PG Town was founded by the Garifuna people. And the culture was vibrant here. I grew up in a town where the culture was the culture. Yeah. And if you know what I mean. And I saw where, like in the 80s, there started to be a decline, a deterioration. Of course, between 1980, mid 80s and mid 90s, I was out of PG, pursuing school and employment. And then coming back in mid 90s, I continued to see, because while I was away, I kept very much in touch with PG Town and Toledo. And the deterioration, the decline continued. You know, people were no longer speaking the language. There were, you know, half type of celebrations around the 19th day of November. The Rume was a mess. It did not depict what's supposed to be depicted. And largely, people actually were, for 19th of November, leaving PG Town to go and celebrate in Hopkins, in Dangriga, and elsewhere. So imagine, what should be a formidable Garifuna municipality, which is a town, people are actually leaving because nothing is happening. Yeah. So then, the story goes like this. One day, my mom and I were around our breakfast table. As we normally would have breakfast together. That would be one of the only meals that typically we'd have together when I was living at our family home at 14 King Street in PG Town. Because once breakfast is over, then I'm gone. She will not see me again until late night. Because then, of course, I'm pursuing my business. And we were both lamenting, man, you know, things have changed. The culture is no longer what it is. Look at our 19th. And oh, we were both lamenting that particular year. I think it was somewhere around about 2004. And so my mom said to me, you know what, you know, something needs to happen. This cannot continue. This have to change. And she was like looking at me as if telling me, well, you need to find some way to change it.
Yeah.
Right. And being the person who I am, I'm the mover and the shaker. And she knows that about me. And so I told her, but mom, you know what? What we are actually seeing is the symptoms of a bigger problem, right? While people were moving away from our celebrations and no longer involved in our celebrations, that was not the problem. The problem was a decline in our culture. So then, if we were to do anything to reverse that trend, we have to hit at the root of the problem. And that is how the Battle of the Drums initiative came about under these 3 programs that I mentioned earlier. Importantly, though, we saw where in previous years, various Garifuna groups, they were always soliciting donations and seeking to do things, but they did not have anything that was tied to their efforts that you could regard as self-sustainability. And therein lies the Battle of the Drums competition and show. We have a big show, a lot of people come, we make a lot of money, and then we invest it in our cultural retrieval and preservation initiative.
Definitely. So, Mr. Darius, earlier you mentioned that the Battle of the Drums will now be airing all the way in Los Angeles via the Radio Belize Mix.
Across the world, actually.
Exactly. Large up Mr. Will Johnson and then by the Radio Belize Mix and by the put that out.
It's a good look for the culture.
Yes. Good look for the culture. What I want to ask though, knowing that, especially that that's like the silver line in the cloud, knowing that the pandemic pushed the entity to go to this distance. But what are you guys looking forward to whenever this pandemic is over? Like what will Battle of the Drums eventually grow to in the next, where do you see Battle of the Drums in the next 10 years, for
example? Battle of the Drums is always about evolution. We are evolving, we continue to evolve. Very importantly, we need to adapt to our surroundings. We have to adapt to our environment. And that is important for any individual or any entity. Because if you do not adapt to the realities of your new environment or to the realities that your environment is now bringing to you, then before you know it, you fall and you are history. Yeah. So we will continue to analyze our environment. We will continue to seek to understand and to address the challenges that it will bring, and we will then adapt so that we can remain relevant, not only as an event, but as an initiative. So I cannot tell you what will be next 10 years because we cannot foretell the future. Yeah. But importantly, what I can tell you is that, like I said earlier, we will ensure that we continue to scan our environment, that we continue to understand the new realities that it presents, and we will adapt accordingly so as to ensure that we remain relevant.
Definitely. Well, there you have it. Well, viewers and subscribers of the Unfinished Business, like PH, please be aware that this is an online virtual appearance and we only have 40 minutes via Zoom, unfortunately. I think by now we'll probably almost expire with you. However, we need to, you have any parting words, Mr.
I wanted that question.
Yes, sir.
Because you also mentioned something about the airing in Los Angeles. You both mentioned it through Radio Mix. Yeah. And so my question is because I'm someone who always tries to recall stories to connect people.
Yeah.
I could recall while being at the Battle of the Drums, there was a segment, I think, where students from Galen would come in and do some sort of dance or some sort of performance, and there were students from outside who came and danced, and the culture and the people in the building welcomed them and embraced them. So that was a good moment. But my question, which will springboard from that, is how would you say, or what would you say is the importance of networking? Because you mentioned that Battle of the Drums wants to go worldwide, and that has to be formed from having the proper networking skills. And so I wanted to know, in your opinion, how important is networking?
Oh man, that's a big word that has a big effect. No business initiative, no initiative that will have longevity can exist without networking. All right. So again, it is about not necessarily who you know, but who know you. Very, very importantly. Because sometimes you believe that you know somebody, but at the end of the day, they don't really got you in an corner. So who knows you? Very, very importantly, always networking in a way that you will ensure that you keep on to balance and to build on those ties that you have made over the years. Ensure, likewise, there may be some bridges that you have to burn, but ensure that at the end of the day, you keep closely with those bridges that you believe you will have to continuously be crossing. Because life is too short, but at the end of the day, it is about how the type of help that could come, the assistance, what is the word that I want to use? Anyway, what I want to say is that question is very, very important. It is important to keep your networks open, viable, and continue to work with them so that they will remain supportive of your initiative.
Definitely, and we at Unfinished Business, we definitely believe in that as well. That is why I want to extend advertisement slack to yourself and Battle of the Drums and any initiative you would wish to advertise on Unfinished Business. I mean, Mr. Darius, our long-standing businessman, we should be the man out.
Yeah, and help the community so much. We help you, you will help us.
Definitely.
And will continue to help us.
Definitely. So, Mr. Darius, any closing words and parting efforts for the viewers of Unfinished Business and the people of Punta Gorda and Belize by extension? Well,
sure. First off, in terms of the Battle of the Drums, I want to recognize my mom. She is 94 years old, Olivia Palacio Avila. She's a co-founder of the Battle of the Drums. And, she is still going strong, talking about longevity, right? Yeah, I also want to recognize the members of the Battle of the Drum because I am only the face, but I have a team of solid persons behind me who make this thing happen. So we have our Vice President, Dr. Carmen Jane Lopez, our Secretary, Ms. Modesta Palacio, our Treasurer, Mr. Luke Palacio. We have other members, Nurse Veronica Joan Avila, Ugondane Avila, Andrew Mick Castillo, Mr. Michael Norales, Ms. Naomi Guzman, Ms. Erika Chang. Sorry? Oh, yes, indeed. Mr. Anthony Fuentes, Mr. Glenn Enriquez, Mr. Mario Martinez. I hope I did not miss any, but those are the people who have been formidable behind what we see at the Battle of the Drums, as well our steadfast facilitators for our programs, Teacher Josephine Terry, Teacher Martina Alvarez, late Teacher Lucian Avila Gutierrez. So it has been Nurse Hazel Cayetano. It has been a whole team of people behind the scenes ensuring that this is a success. In terms of my parting shot, I just wanted to give a word of advice. I believe that you intended to ask it. How do you, what advice do you have for the youths? Because, our youths are out there. I was once a youth myself, and sometimes it felt like, everything is so overwhelming and, there is a hard turnaround to get things to move. Well, first and foremost, like I mentioned earlier, if you want to soar like an eagle, don't hang out with turkeys. Secondly, there is nothing such as a legal get-rich-quick scheme. Yeah. So don't believe that you can sit at home and dream all day and money will start to fall from heaven. It does not work like that. You have to get up, work for it. Education is very, very key. But more importantly, remember, do not bottle education in the four walls of a classroom. Education is any and everything that you experience throughout your lifetime. And so if you push yourself in a way where your experience will be impacted adversely, then clearly your education will not blossom to the level that will take you to a higher stage. All right. So to all the youths out there, hard work, dedication, education, and remember, to the extent that you can, give back. It is in giving that one receives.
Definitely. Mr. Darius, we'd like to thank you for indulging us with the conversation. We'd like to thank you for all the initiatives. We'd like to thank you for keeping the fight up for the Garifuna culture. I would like to thank you for just representing our country and our community well, Mr. Darius. Thanks very much for everything that you've done. Viewers of Unfinished Business, thanks for tuning in to another segment, Backplay Studios. Large of yourself, my brother. We'll step up the game this week. There are the viewers, the down to the green screen, the background, clean up everything. I mean, Mr. Darius in the building, we have to do our best today. We have to look the part.
Yeah,
nice.
Definitely, Mr. Darius. So next week, viewers of Unfinished Business, we will see you guys again. Have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Sure, Mr. Darius. Thank you too.
Stay on the grind, 27/9, not to 24/7, that are not enough time. Put in overtime, me I forget mine. Never thief nobody, me mother say feel no crime. Cause life is hard, have to work hard. The money now make it to just sit down in a yard and I cry time hard. Have to grind hard, jump in our studio, I rhyme hard.